This is Sue S.B. Ellis. I'm a 56-year-old woman and a member of Peace Memorial Presbyterian Church, where I've been since birth. I am doing a farewell video to our education building, which was built in the early 50s and has many fond memories for me of all sorts of programs and activities over the years. But times change and this building is going to be coming down. This is the walkway. There's the Fort Harrison Hotel. There's our sanctuary. Our parking lot. And this walkway goes over an alley that connects our main building to the education building as it's known. I spent yesterday cleaning last bits of stuff out, donating to charity. Everything else will be demolished. This room is where I played handbells back in the early to mid 80s as a member of the Whitechapel handbell ringing choir. Over here on the left is an apartment. Back when I was growing up, it housed our on-site couple. They were a Scottish couple named the Marsdens. Most recently, Charles Tago lived there. This was the Magnolia Room, which was the Presbyterian women room. Back in the day, back in probably late 70s, early 80s, I remember making a banner in this room with Richard Vecti and Robbie Farnell. And I think that banner was actually used in our service today, Palm Sunday. We had a little dedication for this building after church today. I never was really in this room much, but I think this was the Marshall room where Judge Marshall had a class of men. This room right here had all kinds of records saved. I'm gonna come grab some boxes for a client later. Didn't use too much of this room during my day, but my parents have all sorts of memories of it. There were bathrooms up here. Now, my most recent memory of this area is when I ran the cold night shelter. This is where we would check people in and pack their belongings up these stairs. That's Clearwater City Hall. And a really pretty metal Alpha Omega that we'll be saving. In the cold night shelter days, our guests would line up outside this door. We would check them in at this desk. And we'd line up belongings. They have access to these bathrooms here. I also was part of our Peace Cafe ministry, which we used this room for. I remember the first day we started the Peace Cafe feeding the homeless. I went down the bluff looking for people, trying to get them to come and get a free meal. It turned into quite an operation. This was all Peace Cafe space. During the cold night shelter, this was the women's room. We had space for, I believe it was 16 or 17 women, and the rest of the space was for the men. let people hang out here all evening during our cold night shelters. They would go through those doors to check in. This was one of the rooms that we used. Back in the day, these were also preschool rooms. In the early 70s, I attended preschool here under Caroline Stewart. And my friend Jojo was an attendee at preschool here with me. That's how we met. And then these rooms, once the preschool and the Child Development Center, that was a subsidized program for workers in downtown Clearwater, these became cold night shelter rooms. It was in these rooms that I started our clothing ministry. It started out with people just bringing donations and piling them on a table. I eventually got one rack and used part of this room for our clothing ministry, and it morphed into a whole big program. This is what's left of the racks. This was also, we'd share space with checking people in here for the cold night shelter. One of the other rooms for the cold night shelter. And it was actually in this room, a decade after I went to preschool here, that I was a volunteer babysitter or Sunday school person with my friend Roxy and Robbins. We would take the kids from church after the children's sermon and bring them over here. I have some great pictures of the workman boys and people that I babysat for when I was, I think, a freshman in high school, and also helped them at Sunday school. It's going to be very sad to see this go, but hopefully there'll be some new missions that we come up with in the future, and maybe for whatever this space becomes, we can have some more good missions. This room was John's workshop, our on-site facilities manager. Not much left in there either, but you can still see back from when it was a preschool, some of the fun wallpaper. And that's it. So we say goodbye to the Peace Memorial Presbyterian Church Education Building. You served us well. There's my sign, 1 mat per person. Goodbye.